Qing Shaoqing was choked by Qing Si's rebuke. Indeed, as long as it was a direct descendant of the Qing family, they all had the right to make the sky-shaking crossbow recognize its master. He was about to flare up when he caught a glimpse of the three ancestors of the Lan family standing not far away. He could not help but frown. Why did they follow him? He could not help but blame his subordinates in his heart for not stopping the members of the Lan family. In fact, this was not the fault of his subordinates. The three ancestors of the Lan family had followed Qing Shaoqing closely. They thought that Qing Shaoqing had acquiesced, so they did not stop him. Qing Shaoqing suppressed the anger in his heart and said coldly, "Now that you have tried it, and the Sky Cataclysm crossbow has no intention of acknowledging you as its master, you can leave now." Qing Yisai bit her lips and felt a little unwilling, but the heaven-shocking crossbow clearly had no intention of acknowledging her as its master. Could it be that she could only give up? At this time, the voice transmission talisman in her sleeve trembled again. She sent her spiritual sense into it, and after hearing what Yun Chujio said, her expression froze slightly. Then, she said to the heaven-shocking crossbow, "The heaven-shocking crossbow, I always thought that you were the most special, but I didn't expect that you didn't even have the courage to acknowledge me as your master. Forget it, I misjudged you." The sky-shocking crossbow was already extremely angry. Now that it was provoked by Qing Si's words, it immediately became even angrier. Just as it was about to fire the crossbow at Qing Si, it heard Qing Si say, "Sai, I'm just feeling sorry for you. As a divine weapon, you've been staying in the warehouse all this time. Isn't it too sullen? Moreover, from the looks of it, you've suffered a lot. Don't you want to take revenge? Moreover, my cultivation is so low. I might die one day. When that time comes, you'll be free." After Qing Si finished speaking, she stared at the heaven-shocking crossbow nervously. These words were naturally taught to her by Yun Chujio. She could not think of these words by herself. However, could this work? The sky-shaking crossbow was somewhat persuaded. Yes, it was in the warehouse and didn't have much freedom. It might as well acknowledge this little girl as its master. Looking at her weak appearance, it wouldn't be able to do anything. Thus, the sky-shaking crossbow suddenly shrunk and flew into Qing Si's hand. "I think you should take a look at Qing Si," recalled Yun Chujio's instructions and immediately bit her index finger, dripping blood onto the sky-shaking crossbow to prevent any more trouble. Thus, under everyone's stunned gazes, Qing Si contracted the sky-shocking crossbow. Qing Shaoqing was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. What? The sky-shocking crossbow actually acknowledged Qing Si as its master. Qing Si was going to be given to Xian Ji as a furnace and cauldron. In the future, she would definitely not be able to escape the fate of death. When that time came, wouldn't the sky-shocking crossbow benefit Xian Ji? However, now that she had already contracted the sky-shocking crossbow, even if he was furious to death, there was nothing he could do. If he had known that the heaven-shocking crossbow was so easy to deceive, he would not have waited until now. It was really too late to regret. Qing Jin's face was filled with jealousy. She wished that she could snatch the heaven-shocking crossbow. She should not have listened to her elder sister in the first place. She should have just killed this bitch right away. Qing Yuanda and Zheng Shi were both surprised and happy. No matter what, with the heaven-shocking crossbow, their daughter would have an additional means of self-protection in the future. This heaven-shocking crossbow was much more powerful than the King of Hell's Needles. At this moment, the Goei Batsao hidden in the distance was instantly thrown into chaos in the wind. It was over. It was completely over. That heaven-shocking crossbow had acknowledged Qing Si as its master, and Qing Si was the smelly girl's friend. Wouldn't it be exposed? Goei Batsao was so regretful that it wanted to bang its head against the wall. If it had known this would happen, it would not have provoked that idiot, the heaven-shocking crossbow. But now, it had raised a stone to hit its own foot. It was simply too stupid. Goei Batsao thought to itself, no matter what, it should run first. Perhaps that idiot, the heaven-shocking crossbow, would not tell Qing Si the truth because it cared about its face. So, Goei Batsao sneaked into an ant hole. After leaving the courtyard, she ran back to Yun Chujio's courtyard. After the contract between Skyshoking Crossbow and Qing Si was completed, Skyshoking Crossbow was stunned to find that Goei Batsao was gone. Qing Si was very happy at this time. She asked, "Why did you attack the other spiritual weapons just now? Where is your enemy? It'll help you take revenge." The heaven-shocking crossbow wanted to tell the truth, but after thinking about it, it felt a bit embarrassing to say it out loud, so it snorted coldly and said, "I'll settle my own matters, don't bother yourself. You'd better mind your own business, little weakling." Qing Si, however, she wasn't angry. As time went by, people's hearts would be revealed. In the future, she would slowly subdue the heaven-shocking crossbow. She thought to herself, let's see. She knew that there was nothing that little Jiao could not solve. Little Jiao only needed to tell her a few words to subdue the heaven-shocking crossbow. She would definitely be able to help her deal with the Qing family's second branch. However, she did not know what method she used to anger the heaven-shocking crossbow. Little Jiao was really powerful. Qing Shiacheng's depression could be imagined. Not only did he lose a lot of spiritual weapons, but he also lost the heaven-shocking crossbow. He was simply extremely unlucky. How could this perfectly fine heaven-shocking crossbow go crazy? He could not help but look at the Lan family's ancestors suspiciously. However, he denied his own suspicions. The Lan family's guards had been arranged elsewhere by him, and the 3 members of the Lan family were all under his nose. There was no chance for them to make a move at all. I think you should take a look at right now. His heart was in a mess, and he did not have the mood to feign civility with the Lan family's ancestor. He said perfunctorily, "Senior Lan, I've made a fool of myself. I still have to clean up this mess. We'll have a banquet to talk about it another day." The ancestor of the Lan family said with a faint smile, "You're too kind. Since that's the case, you'll return to the guest house first." After the ancestor of the Lan family finished speaking, he left with Elder Tuo and Yun Chujio. When Qing Si saw that they had left, she tugged at Zheng Shi's sleeve. Immediately, the 3 of them left as well. What a joke! If they stayed here, were they going to wait to be cleaned up? Qing Shaocheng looked at the backs of the 3 of them with a gloomy face. If Qing Si was not useful to him, why would he spare the lives of the people from the main branch? However, as long as Xianji took her away, the people from the main branch would die. Qing Shaocheng shook his head. They don't know how to split themselves, so they didn't have the chance to make a move. Moreover, this storehouse is heavily guarded. If they did it, it's impossible not to alert the guards. Then what's going on? The sky-shaking crossbow can't be crazy, right? That girl Qing Si is really lucky. Qing Yuankue said with a hint of jealousy. Qing Shaocheng gritted his teeth. First, tidy up the warehouse. Then, send people to search the surroundings carefully to see if there's anything. Father, then should we make a move against the Lan family's patriarch and the others now? Qing Yuankue asked. Qing Shaocheng pondered for a moment. This is a very important matter. Let's try again. If the risk is too great, we don't need to take the risk for the sake of the bitter Zen sect. Yes, Father. Goei Batsao trembled as it hid in a corner of Yun Chujia's bedroom. It felt that a great disaster was about to befall it. However, it discovered that there was nothing unusual after Yun Chujio returned. Could it be that the heaven-shocking crossbow did not report it? However, it thought about it again. This wretched girl had many tricks up her sleeves. Perhaps she did it on purpose. It could not be fooled. Therefore, Goei Batsao was afraid for the whole night, but it did not get Yun Chujia's anger. It finally put its heart back into its stomach. It guessed that it was right. The heaven-shocking crossbow loved to save face, so it did not say it out loud. It had to be said that that idiot finally did a good thing. After knowing that it would not be exposed, it began to feel a little smug. Not only did he destroy many of the Qing family's spiritual artifacts, but he also allowed Qing Si to obtain the heaven-shocking crossbow. Go Weiba had made another great contribution. Unfortunately, he could only be a nameless hero and silently contribute. He was really too great. Yun Chujio was completely unaware of Goei Bakeo's inner drama. After she woke up, she did not wake up. Instead, she pondered over her next step. If she didn't want to fight head-on, she had to find the Qing family's second son's weakness and hit him with one strike. However, what was the Qing family's second son's weakness? Yun Chujia's eyes suddenly lit up. The master of the Qing family, Qing Haoyan, was still alive. It was very likely that he was under house arrest or controlled by Qing Shaoqing. If she could save him, the Emperor of the Narrow Sky would order the vassals, and then she could take the initiative. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio immediately contacted Qing Si with a voice transmission talisman and obtained some useful information, such as Qing Haoshan's appearance, residence, and so on. In the corner, Goei Batsao was suddenly energized. Oh my, it was time for Goei Batsao to make a contribution again. This guy's idea was very simple. He felt that the more contributions he made, the lighter the punishment he would receive in the future. This was called atonement for his sins. Therefore, Goei Batsao did not care that it was still daytime. While Yun Chujio was thinking of a solution, it slipped out through the crack of the door. I think you should take a look at Goei Batsao was very smart. It made full use of the bushes, ant holes and other cover, and was not discovered by anyone. Goei Batsao was so proud that it was almost floating. How could it be so outstanding? How could it be so outstanding? It was so powerful that it was not human. Well, it was not human in the first place. It was a unique grass. When it saw a cluster of mushrooms when it crawled through the grass, it immediately shook its leaves. It was neither as cute as Xiaomogu nor as pretty as Xiaomogu. Where did it get the courage to embarrass itself here? So, it directly tore the cluster of mushrooms into pieces. This guy played as he walked and finally arrived at Qing Haoshan's courtyard. There were many guards outside Qing Haoshan's courtyard, which could be said to be heavily guarded. Pandas novel. The courtyard was very large, with rockery and flowing water. The scenery was very good. However, Goei Batsao was not interested in it. Just as he was about to jump from room to room, he heard footsteps from outside. Goei Batsao hurriedly hid in the grass and sneakily looked outside. The person who came was Qing Shaoqing. He directly entered a room. Goei Batsao thought about it and did not dare to take the risk to enter. Instead, he leaned against the window to eavesdrop. "Father, your son has come to pay his respects to you," Qing Shaoqing said with some ridicule. Immediately after, an old voice said, "Get lost. I don't have a son like you, you beast." Goei Batsao thought that the old man who spoke was probably the current master of the Qing family, Qing Haoyan. Qing Shaoqing said with a fake smile, "Father, your blood flows in my body, so even if you don't admit it, I'm still your son. Don't worry, as long as you hand over the position of master to me in 2 days, it'll be filial to you in the future. Of course, it doesn't matter even if you don't announce it. After all, once you die, the position of family head will still be mine." "You beast." Qing Haoyan was obviously very angry, and his voice was trembling. Qing Shaoqing changed the topic. "Father, I came to tell you that the sky-shaking crossbow has acknowledged its master." "What? The sky-shaking crossbow has acknowledged its master? Who has it acknowledged?" Qing Haoyan was obviously very surprised. He did not care about anything else and asked directly. Qing Shaoqing sneered twice. The heaven-shocking crossbow actually recognized Qing Si as its master. It seems that the weapon spirit of the heaven-shocking crossbow is also an idiot. It actually chose the weakest trash. Cough cough, cough cough. Good, this is the will of heaven. You racked your brains to get the heaven-shocking crossbow, but it was taken by that girl Qing Si. Good, this is really wonderful. Qing Shaoqing was so angry that his face turned ashen. He snorted coldly and said, "So what if she got it? In the end, she still has to obediently become a furnace, a cauldron. You beast! You're not human. How could I raise such an ingrate like you? You'll die a horrible death." Qing Haoyan scolded loudly. "Father, you'd better save your strength. I didn't come here to listen to you scold me. Although the heaven-shocking crossbow is not ordinary, it's far from being comparable to that thing at the back of the mountain. If you tell me the secret of the back of the mountain, I won't kill those people from the main branch. Otherwise, none of the people from the main branch will be able to live. Those are your grandchildren. You won't leave them alive, right? Qing Shaoqing said coldly. The back of the mountain? There is nothing at the back of the mountain except for the mountain forest. Don't waste your strength. Qing Haoyan said with a sneer. I think you should take a look at nothing? If there's nothing, why did that girl, Qing Si, go missing all those years ago? And why did she appear on another continent? Is there a teleportation array or some kind of spiritual weapon there? Qing Shaoqing asked. If you have doubts, you can send people to search for her. Evil creature, good and evil will be reaped in the end. You imprisoned your father and murdered your relatives. You will die a horrible death. Good, very good. Since you refuse to accept my offer, I will deal with you after I take over as the family head. At that time, I will kill all the people in the house one by one in front of you. Let's see if you will still be stubborn. Qing Haoyan was so angry that he coughed and cursed. The faint sound of chains could be heard. Gui Batzao thought to himself, could it be that the old man was chained? At this moment, Qing Shaoqing said again, oh right, the master of the Lan family is a guest in the mansion. Yuan De, that idiot, still wants to become in-laws with the Lan family. What a whimsical idea. The master of the Lan family is here? Qing Haoyan asked in surprise with a hint of surprise in his tone. Father, do you still expect the master of the Lan family to save you? To tell you the truth, they may not be able to leave Green Valley alive. What do you mean? Do you want to attack the Lan family? Qing Haoyan exclaimed. You don't have to worry about that. You'd better think about the things in the back of the mountain. Qing Shaoqing sneered. I've said it before. There are only mountains and forests in the back of the mountain. If you don't believe me, you can send people to search. After saying this, Qing Haoyan didn't say anything no matter what Qing Shaoqing said. After a while, Qing Shaoqing angrily pushed the door open and walked out. Gui Batzao was so scared that he almost fell off the windowsill. Fortunately, Qing Shaoqing was so angry that he did not pay attention to anything else. After Qing Shaoqing left, Gui Batzao slipped through the crack in the door. There was only a big bed in the room, and an old man was trapped on it with a chain. The old man was described as thin as firewood. His eyes were dark and gloomy, and he looked like he was about to die. Gui Batzao sighed in his heart. This old man was really miserable. However, it could not save him. Firstly, it did not have much spiritual power left. Secondly, even if it broke the old man's chain, the guards outside would not let him go. Gui Batzao sneakily walked around the house and did not find anything else. It shook its leaves and sneaked out. When this guy sneaked back to Yun Chujio's courtyard, Yun Chujio was not there. Instead, she went to the Lan family's ancestors' courtyard. Patriarch, as you can see, the second branch of the Qing family clearly doesn't have good intentions. If we don't take the opportunity to kill them, once they completely take control of the Qing family, they will definitely be a hidden danger for us, Yun Chujio said. The Lan family's patriarch's face turned cold. He knew that Yun Chujio was right. Pandas novel. Calm, you are right, but the Green Valley is easy to defend and hard to attack. Moreover, the Divine Devil Hall and the Bitter Zen sect might even lend a helping hand. Even if we join hands with the Zen sect, we might not be able to win. Moreover, the guards we brought with us have been placed elsewhere by the Qing family. If we really fall out with them, I'm afraid we won't be able to protect ourselves. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and said, Old ancestor, let's not fight them head-on. Let's try to outsmart them. Outsmart them? The Grand Ancestor asked in puzzlement. I think you should take a look at, isn't Qing Haoyan still alive? I think he's most likely controlled by Qing Shaoqing. If we can save him, things will be much easier. Although the Qing family is now controlled by Qing Shaoqing, there must still be a direct descendant of Qing Haoyan. When the time comes, we will work together from the inside and the outside. It will be much easier to take down the Qing family, Yun Chujio said with a smile. The ancestor of the Lan family shook his head. You think too simply. Since Qing Haoyan is controlled by Qing Shaoqing, there must be many guards. How can we easily save him? Yun Chujio's smile became brighter. We don't have to look for him ourselves. The opportunity will soon appear in front of us. The ancestor of the Lan family was even more confused. What do you mean? Qing Yuanda wants to marry us, so he will come to you soon. You have to meet him out of courtesy, don't you? When the time comes, leave this matter to him. As the head of the big house, if he can't even meet Qing Haoyan, then he is too useless. Yun Chujio curled her lips and said, "This guy thought to himself, Miss Qing Isai, I'm sorry. In order not to expose our relationship, I have to let Uncle suffer." The reason why Yun Chujio did not tell the Lan family's patriarch about her relationship with Qing Si was that the Lan family's patriarch was a suspicious person. If he knew that she and Qing Si were old acquaintances, he might cause unnecessary trouble. Before the Lan family's patriarch could speak, there was a commotion outside. One could vaguely hear Qing Yuanda coughing. The ancestor of the Lan family and Elder Tu looked at each other. This troublemaker was really smart. The ancestor of the Lan family did not go out immediately. After a while, he asked Yun Chujio to go out and deal with it. When Yun Chujio came out, Qing Yuanda was in a confrontation with the guards. Qing Yuanda's face was red, obviously very angry. But in the past, he could back down, but for his daughter, he would do his best. "Uncle, the old ancestor wants you to go in," Yun Chujio said indifferently. The guards looked at each other and had no choice but to let Qing Yuanda into the courtyard. Qing Yuanda nodded gratefully at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio could not help but feel a little bitter when she saw the slightly fawning look on Qing Yuanda's face. It could be said that this Uncle Qing had done his best for Miss Qing Si. Panda's novel Comer mission was to prevent them from disturbing the old ancestor and Qing Yuanda conversation. Sure enough, a moment later, Qing Yuankue came over with Qing Jin. Yun Chujio arrived at the gate of the courtyard with a smile and said, "Uncle, Sister Qing Jin, are you here to see me?" Qing Yuankue and Qing Jin's faces stiffened slightly. How could they answer such a shameless question? Could it be that they were not here to see her? Qing Yuankue squeezed out a smile and said vaguely, "We're here to see if you and the master of the Lan family need anything. Let's go in and talk." Yun Chujio immediately clapped her hands, giving Qing Yuankue and Qing Jin a fright. Was this stupid girl crazy? "That's great. Uncle, I have something to ask of you," Yun Chujio said excitedly. "I think you should take a look at." Although Qing Yuankue wanted to go in immediately, but Yun Chujio blocked the door of the courtyard. Now that they had not fallen out, he could not force his way in. He could only ask patiently, "What is it? Miss Yun, please tell me. I want to visit your warehouse. Yesterday, I only saw a little bit of it, and I was already very shocked." The Qing family of the Valley of Fog really lives up to its reputation. "I've never even heard of many spirit weapons," Yun Chujio said with envy. Qing Jin said with a little bit of pride, "Of course. In terms of refining weapons in the Chongshao continent, our Qing family believes that we are second. No one dares to claim the first place." "Oh right, didn't that sky-shaking crossbow go crazy last night? It destroyed a lot of spirit weapons, right? I feel sorry for you guys," Yun Chujio said with a sigh. Qing Yuankue and Qing Jin's expressions immediately became a little ugly. This wretched girl had mentioned every single thing. She was really detestable. Qing Yuankue didn't want to continue wasting time here with her. He said, "Miss Yun, the warehouse is an important place of our Qing family. It's not convenient for outsiders to visit it. Let's go in and talk. Coincidentally, I have something to discuss with the head of the Lan family." Yun Chujio moved aside and said, "All right, let's talk inside." Qing Yuankue could not help but feel puzzled. Could it be that this stinky girl did not deliberately stop them here? If she deliberately stopped them, why did she let them in so easily? Qing Yuankue did not have time to think too much. He hurriedly entered the house, only to see Qing Yuanda come out in a daze. He looked at him as if he wanted to eat him up. Qing Yuankue was secretly happy. It seemed that Qing Yuanda had hit a wall. However, it was also true. If the head of the Lan family had some brains, he would not support the eldest and the second branch to go against each other. After Qing Yuankue entered, he said a few words perfunctorily and then left. Yun Chujio looked at his and Qing Jin's backs and curled the corners of her lips. These two idiots probably did not know that there was a thing called a sound transmission talisman in this world, right? Yun Chujio knew that Qing Yuanda needed some time to think of a solution, so after she greeted her ancestor, she returned to her own courtyard. Goei Batsao had already hidden under the bed, and she was thinking of how to tell Yun Chujio what she knew. It could not speak and it could not write. It was really a worrisome weed. This fellow could not think of any solution, so he simply gave up. Anyway, she already wanted to use Qing Yuanda to save that miserable old man. It did not matter if she told him or not. As for the secret of the back mountain, it was probably useless to the wretched girl. It did not matter if she told him or not. Hence, Goei Batsao was at ease and nestled under the bed. That evening, Yun Chujio received news from the Lan family's patriarch. Qing Yuanda had thought of a solution. Yun Chujio immediately went to the Lan family's patriarch's courtyard. Qing Yuanda didn't say what he thought of, but he promised that he could see Qing Haoyan alone. "What are your plans next?" said the Lan family's patriarch. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. "Let's wait for him to see Qing Haoyan first. We have to know Qing Haoshan's trump card before we can decide on the next step." The Lan family's patriarch also had the same idea. If Qing Haoyan didn't have any trump cards, then he had to reconsider whether or not to get involved in this mess. After the discussion, Yun Chujio returned to her own courtyard. As soon as she entered the courtyard, the voice transmission talisman began to tremble. Yun Chujio lowered her head and saw that it was from Di Baiming. This fellow was delighted and couldn't wait to send his spiritual sense in. However, before that, she cut off her spiritual sense connection so that Di Baiming's words wouldn't be heard by the silly cuties and Guai Chao. After all, she was also a shy girl. Although the silly girls and Guai Chao could read Yun Chujio's thoughts, there was a prerequisite. I think you should take a look at if Yun Chujio cut off her spiritual sense, it would not be able to see what was outside, and it would not be able to read Yun Chujio's thoughts. Little Gio, I forgot to tell you something. Your spiritual beast is that Goei Batsao. After Yun Chujio heard it, she gritted her teeth. No wonder she always met with some inexplicable things. It was all the work of Go Weiba. This cheap grass. It actually learned how to save a small treasury. No wonder it was always better than acting cute to get her to let it out. So it was like this. Goei Batsao under the bed was trembling. Although it did not know what Di Baiming said, it had a bad feeling that the fiend was most likely to complain. Yun Chujio temporarily put the matter of Goei Batsao aside and asked, "Prince Charming, Qing's Ai told me that not only did you send people to protect them, but you also gave them a lot of cultivation resources. Why didn't you tell me?" Very soon, the voice transmission talisman began to tremble. Di Baiming said indifferently, "Your matters are my matters. Your family is my family. I do things for my family, do I need to take credit for them?" Yun Chujio curled her lips. This Tsundra was getting better at talking. The two chatted for a while more, and Yun Chujio put away the voice transmission talisman. She rolled her eyes and resumed the spiritual connection with Guai Chao. Guai Chao was terrified. It felt that it was doomed this time. At this moment, it heard Yun Chujio muttering to herself, "Sigh, I hate people who lie to me the most. If I find out who is lying to me, I will kill him." Upon hearing this, Guai Chao immediately began to tremble. The leaves of the grass were about to shake off. "It's over. It's over." This stinky girl must have already known that it had stolen the small treasury. What should it do? Otherwise, it would just refuse to admit it. At worst, it would not sneak out in the future. However, this stinky girl firmly believed in that fiend. Even if it did not admit it, it probably would not be able to do so. Why not confess and ask for leniency? Guai Chao was frightened for a long time, but he did not hear what Yun Chujio continued to say. Instead, he lay on the bed and read his script. Guai Chao thought to himself, could it be that she was not talking about it when she said those words just now? But she was referring to something else? No, if she was talking about someone else, why did she have to talk to herself? And she was speaking so vaguely? Guai Chao's heart was in a mess. It was so conflicted. Yun Chujio glanced at it and sneered in her heart. Go away ba. Let's wait and see. Guai Chao had been scared all night and its leaves were drooping. This kind of inhuman torture was too unbearable. She might as well beg for a quick death. This guy decided to turn himself in. Therefore, when Yun Chujio woke up, she saw a blade of grass kneeling on the ground. When Goe Batsao saw that Yun Chujio had woken up, not only did it greet her with a bough of grass leaves, but it also kowtowed continuously with its grass ears. Yun Chujio was angry and amused at the same time. This cheap grass could bend and stretch. She did not know who it learned from to be so thick-skinned. I think you should take a look at Yun Chujio pretended to be surprised and covered her mouth as she said, Oh my God, Go Wei Ba, I didn't let you out either. Why did you come out? Go Wei Batsao cursed in its heart. This stupid girl deliberately teased it. She obviously knew everything, but she pretended to be like this. It was really too hateful. However, the grass was under the eaves and had no choice but to lower its head. It could only fawn and act cutely from the bottom of its heart. Its fawning look was simply unbearable to look at. Yun Chujio looked at Goe Bakao's fawning look and felt that she shouldn't have named it Goe Batsao back then. She should have called it a lackey. She snorted coldly, Good, Goe Batsao, you are quite capable. You actually have the ability to save a small amount of money. Tell me, how should I punish you? However, it was afraid because it knew that this wretched girl in front of it had a dark heart. She would definitely think of a way to torture it. Was it you who caused the sudden seizure of the crossbow? Yun Chujio suddenly asked. Goe Batsao quickly shook its leaves and admitted to it. It was delighted. It had done a meritorious deed. The girl might have spared it because of this matter. However, it never expected that Yun Chujio would point at it and scold, You idiot, do you think you have done a meritorious deed? Goe Batsao was completely dumbfounded. What did she mean? Could it be that she had done something wrong? It's fine if you've angered the heaven-shocking crossbow, but why did you let it destroy so many spiritual artifacts? You're a prodigal. Those spiritual artifacts are all money. Goe Batsao couldn't turn around. These spiritual artifacts belonged to the Qing family, not this wretched girl. Why was she so anxious? However, it quickly reacted. This damned girl was someone who would pluck feathers from a wild goose. If she helped the Qing family's eldest son get rid of the second son, she would definitely ask for some benefits. In a sense, this Qing family's spirit tool also belonged to her. After Goe Batsao reacted, it hurriedly kowtowed and begged for mercy. After all, it didn't have any morals. As long as the damned girl calmed down, it would be fine. Yun Chujio snorted coldly. Don't give me that trick. On the one hand, you're showing me your heart, and on the other hand, you're hiding a small treasury behind my back. You scheming bastard. When this fellow said this, he couldn't help but feel a little stifled. Her silly cuteness was all fame, but in reality, they were useless embroidered pillows. The most hateful thing was that each and every one of them looked silly, but in reality, they were all hiding their narrow-mindedness. It was really annoying. However, when she thought about it carefully, Goe Batsao had helped her a lot, although some of them did not help her much. But at least it showed that this scheming grass still wanted to contribute. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio said lightly, Forget it, I won't argue with you about what happened before. But if you continue to play tricks behind my back, I will definitely let you know what it means to be unable to live, unable to die. Goe Batsao quickly compared herself to her, only missing a long tail wagging behind her. Pandas Novel Kamsh did not think that Goe Batsao was a well-behaved person. It must have done something else. Goe Batsao felt that this was a good opportunity to take credit, but this fellow only realized after a while that it could not speak. It only felt sad. Just because it could not speak, it had missed so many good opportunities to take credit. Just because it could not speak, it could only watch as an idiot like Buttface forcefully became the number one dumb and cute. Just because it could not speak, it had lost so many opportunities to talk to Xiao Mogu. The last sentence was pure nonsense. It did not think that way. Yun Chujio also remembered that this guy couldn't speak, but she had a good idea. If you can't speak, you can write. Write it. Yun Chujio raised her eyebrows and said, I think you should take a look at Go Weiba. Woo woo, it was illiterate. Seeing this, Yun Chujio mocked, Tisk hehe, I forgot, you are an illiterate idiot. How pitiful. Goei Batsao was so angry that it wanted to slap Hei Shinjio away. However, it was just thinking about it. In the beginning, it still wanted to kill Yun Chujio and replace her. But now, it did not dare to, or rather, it did not want to. As for the reason why it did not want to do so, it did not want to think about it. After all, Go Weiba could do whatever it wanted to do. Why would it have so many reasons? Yun Chujio looked at Go Weiba, who was so angry that its leaves were about to fly away, and felt very happy. She rolled her eyes and said, You don't know how to write or draw, right? Draw it for me to see. Goei Batsao was immediately delighted. That's right, could draw it. Yun Chujio spread a piece of paper on the table. Goei Batsao dipped its leaves in ink and drew a room on the paper. Then, she drew an old man who was trapped in a chain. You drew Qing Haoyan? Did you see him? Yun Chujio asked in surprise. Go Weiba proudly shook its leaves. Now that it had mastered the skill of drawing, it could still learn to read in the future. The opportunity for Go Weiba to make a name for itself had finally arrived. Whatever butt face, Hun Dun, curly hair, or Xiao Hanio were all no match for it. They had to submit to Go Weiba. Ha! This fellow was really too proud of itself. As it was not a real entity, the ink on the leaves seemed to be floating, but it was supported by spiritual power. With such a show-off, all the ink was thrown onto Yun Chujio's clothes and face. Chapter 5286. Goei Batsao. Yun Chujio squeezed out 2 words from between her teeth. Goei Batsao, you're courting death. Goei Batsao finally fully understood the meaning of the idiom, extreme joy begets sorrow. It was sent flying by Yun Chujio's slap. And that was not all. It was kicked a few more times and scolded dozens of times. Goei Batsao did not have much spiritual energy left, but after this torment, it immediately dissipated. Yun Chujio snorted coldly. What? Are you playing the little treasury trick again? Get out here. The strange grass in her danton wanted to cry, but no tears came out. This time, it had really dissipated. Where was the little treasury? This was the price of lying. After lying once, no one would believe what she said later. However, this fellow was puzzled. This stupid girl treated lying as food all day long, so how could she still deceive others? Did those people not have brains? In the end, it was because it was not good at lying. Unlike this stupid girl, she was a drama queen. Although this guy was cursing in his heart, he kept acting cute on the surface. The black bead and the great void mirror in his dantian could not bear to look at him. It was really embarrassing to live with such a lackey. Yun Chujio washed her face and changed her clothes. She glared at Guai Chao fiercely and then let it out. Goei Batsao immediately flew to the table. After comparing her feelings, she continued to draw. She drew a person beside the bed, but she did not know how to describe the person as Qing Shaoqing. Fortunately, Yun Chujio guessed, You drew Qing Shaoqing later? Guai Chao hurriedly shook its leaves to express its agreement. In its heart, it thought, this stupid girl is really smart. She is simply not a human, but a pervert. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. Why did Qing Shaoqing go to see Qing Haoqian? Did he threaten him to pass the position of family head to him? Go Weiba shook its leaves to show that she was right. Yun Chujio thought for a moment and said, Draw the arrangement of the guards outside. Goei Batsao immediately buried its head in drawing and finished drawing after a while. Yun Chujio was already unable to complain about Goei Bakao's drawing skills. Fortunately, she was smarter and could barely see what it was drawing. Goei Batsao saw that Yun Chujio was pondering over the matter and started to think of little Jiujio in its heart. It had to think of a way to make the smelly girl be willing to let it out for a walk, or else it would suffocate in its dantian. However, what method could it think of? Before it could think of a way, it heard Yun Chujio say, Turn into the smallest form, let me see. It did not know what kind of medicine Yun Chujio was selling, but the Goei Batsao still shrunk to the size of a pinky. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. No wonder she did not find this scheming grass before. If she did not pay special attention, it would indeed be difficult to notice. In the future, she could use it to investigate or pass on information. However, this fellow was a little unreliable and could easily get carried away. It was better to think about it first. However, this scheming grass was very secretive. It was better to calm her down a little so that she would not cause any trouble again. Hence, she said, "Go away, Ba, I cannot confiscate your little treasury. I can also let you out from time to time to replenish your little treasury." Goe Bat Sao felt that she was hallucinating. Why was this wretched girl so kind? There was a conspiracy. There must be a big conspiracy. Yun Chujio saw its trembling appearance and could not help but laugh. She continued, "However, without my permission, you cannot act on your own. Otherwise, I will not forgive you." Although Goe Batsao felt that this matter was like a dream, it still agreed without hesitation. What a joke! It was not a stupid plant, so it naturally would not reject such a good thing. Seeing that Goe Batsao agreed, Yun Chujio did not bother with it anymore. Instead, she sat on the chair and pondered over the matter. Goe Batsao did not dare to move at first. Later, when she saw that Yun Chujio did not seem to have any intention of doing anything to it, it started to let loose. Previously, it was afraid of being discovered by Yun Chujio, so it had always been sneaky. But now, it was different. Goe Batsao had crossed the bright road. Goe Batsao was no longer a black grass without status. This fellow began to jump up and down in the house. It did not even know how to show off. Yun Chujio occasionally glanced at it, feeling puzzled. How was this grass? It was simply a madman. There was no time to stop. After the silly cuties saw this scene through Yun Chujio's spiritual sense, they each had their own thoughts. Among them, two were the most indignant. One was Buttface, and the other was Buddha's candle. These two fellows had been fighting openly and secretly, both wanting to fight for the throne of the #1 spiritual pet. Now, a Goe Batsao had appeared. How hateful! Most importantly, this Goe Batsao had a huge advantage over them, and that was that it was not afraid of death. Because it was only a spiritual beast, its main body was in Yun Chujio's Dantian, so even if they wanted to take care of it, they could not do anything about it. However, it was a man's work. It was still okay to complain about it for no reason. After all, that stupid grass could not speak. Goe Batsao completely did not know that it had become a target for arrows. Of course, even if this fellow knew, he would not take it to heart. What a joke! Once Goe Batsao appeared, who would be able to compete with it? Those idiots could not be compared to it at all. The #1 throne was destined to be Goe Bakeo's. Putting everything else aside, it had already occupied the smelly girl's Dantian long ago. Who could compete with it? Moreover, the love-hate relationship between it and the smelly girl could already be written in several storybooks. Those idiots still wanted to compete with it. I think you should take a look at if it wasn't for the fact that it couldn't speak, how would they be able to show off? It was really shameless. Not to mention them, even Beiming, that malignant star, was ranked behind it. It was the first to know this smelly girl. Goe Batsao was showing off for a while. When it saw that Yun Chujio was reading the script, it shamelessly went up to her. Yun Chujio's heart moved. Why not teach it to know more words so that it would not have to communicate with it in the future? Hence, Yun Chujio took out a pen and paper and began to teach Goe Batsao how to read. When Buttface and Buddha's candle saw this, they became even more envious. However, they had no choice but to stare at it. However, they soon rolled around happily. The reason was simple. Although Goe Batsao was very observant, it was really stupid when it came to literacy. Yun Chujio had just taught it, but it had forgotten about it as soon as it turned its head. The words it had written had lost its limbs, and it had almost angered Hei Shinjio to death. After teaching it for 4 hours, Goe Batsao had only learned one word. Yes, one. Yun Chujio. Panda's novel, this fellow comforted himself. Grass wasn't perfect. A grass as handsome, powerful, and smart as it was, one flaw was nothing. Learning one word a day, It could learn more than 300 words a year. Take it slow. It is not in a hurry to write love letters. What is the hurry? Anyway, it in Xiao Mogu or baby. When the Gowei Batsao thought of Xiao Mogu, its leaves immediately curled up. It was simply spouting nonsense just now. It did not think that way at all. This fellow looked at Yun Chujio guiltily, and then realized that although it could understand Yun Chujio's thoughts, Yun Chujio could not pry into its thoughts. It immediately had a sense of superiority. See, no matter how perverted this girl was, she could not do anything to it. Although Yun Chujio could not read the thoughts of the Guai Chao, she could still feel its emotions and felt that it was very smug. It was funny in her heart. Where did a lousy Guai Chao get the courage to be smug? The next morning, the ancestor of the Lan family called Yun Chujio over. Qing Yuanda has sent news that he has already met Qing Haotian, said the patriarch of the Lan family. What's the situation? Does Qing Haotian still have a trump card? Yun Chujio asked hurriedly. He does have one, but it's very limited. There are only 100 elite guards. It was estimated that Qing Haotian had not let those people make any moves for a long time. Firstly, Qing Shaoqing had threatened the lives of the people from the big house. Secondly, there were too few people, so Qing Haotian did not dare to act rashly. Indeed, more than 100 people were not enough. The Qing residents had 400 to 500 guards on the surface, so there was no chance of winning. Since the second branch of the Qing family is not going to attack us for the time being, why don't we leave? The ancestor of the Lan family said with a sigh. Yun Chujio naturally did not want to leave. If nothing else, she could not ignore Qing Sis' life and death. She blinked her eyes and said, Ancestor, although more than 100 people are indeed a little small, didn't we bring a few hundred people? Moreover, your cultivation is much stronger than Qing Shaoqing's. As long as you take him down and Qing Haotian appears, the subordinates of the second branch will abandon the dark side and join the light. The old ancestor of the Lan family was actually very conflicted. If Qing Shaoqing completely took control of the Qing family, it would not be good news for the Lan family. I think you should take a look at. He pondered for a moment and asked, Do you have any good ideas? Yun Chujio did not say anything but laughed. The ancestor of the Lan family and elder Tu Ah saw her sinister smile and could not help but shiver. This troublemaker was going to play dirty again. Let's create a diversion and fish in troubled waters. Tonight, I will think of a way to set a few fires in the Qing mansion and let Qing Yuanda bring more than 100 elites to save Qing Haotian. When the time comes, Qing Shaoqing will definitely lead his men to stop them. We'll send a mantis to catch the cicada and Oriole to catch the Oriole behind. You and old Tua will work together to take down Qing Shaoqing. As long as we take down Qing Shaoqing, the rest of the matter will be much easier to handle, Yun Chujio said with a smile. What you said is also feasible. However, Qing Mansion is heavily guarded. I'm afraid it won't be easy to set a fire right under their noses, the old ancestor said with a frown. Seeing that she had a plan in mind, the Lan family's old ancestor agreed to her plan. The three of them discussed the details before Yun Chujio returned to her courtyard. She rested up and waited for night to come. When night fell, Yun Chujio released a small flame. For a small flame, setting a few fires was simply too easy. Yun Chujio told the small flame to set a fire at a place that was quite far away. Moreover, they were very scattered. This way, the guards of the Qing residence would be scattered and it would be easier to carry out their tasks. Soon, the Qing mansion was in chaos. In the darkness of the night, many flames soared into the sky. Qing Shaoqing was shocked and angry. He quickly sent people to put out the fire. However, he soon realized that something was wrong. He immediately rushed to the Qingfeng garden where Qing Haotian was imprisoned without caring about anything else. The three ancestors of the Lan family followed them from afar. At this time, the Qing mansion was in chaos, so no one stopped them. When Qing Shaoqing arrived at Qingfeng garden, Qing Yuanda and his men had already started fighting with the guards. When Qing Shaoqing saw that the leader was Qing Yuanda and there was no one else, he immediately felt relieved. A mere Qing Yuanda could not stir up a storm at all. He shouted coldly, Stop. Yuanda, are you crazy? Do you not care about the life and death of the entire house? Moreover, with just a few people like you, do you think you can contend with me? Qing Yuanda naturally would not listen to him. Today, he had already given up everything. He only had one chance. If he did not succeed, he would die. A cold smile appeared on Qing Xiacheng's face. He was about to step forward and take down Qing Yuanda, but he felt a murderous aura coming from behind him. He subconsciously dodged to the side. He did not expect that for some reason his feet would go soft. He actually tripped himself and became a dog gnawing mud. Therefore, the Lan family's ancestor and elder Tuo did not expend any effort to control Qing Xiaoqing. Both of them were a little dumbfounded. Although their cultivation was much higher than Qing Xiacheng's, wasn't this too easy? Not to mention other things, Qing Xiaoqing must have many good life-saving things on him, but he did not activate any of them? How would they know that Qing Xiaoqing was caught off guard and fell? For a moment, he did not care about activating the spiritual weapon, and was caught just like that. As for the reason why Qing Xiaoqing fell, it was naturally the curse of the Xiao Hanyo. I think you should take a look at the Xiao Hanyo glanced at Buttface and Hun Dun, who was wearing a green sweater, with a hint of pride. It didn't want to participate in the usual jealousy. Panda's novel. Calm, not to mention other things, its curse skill was the little girl's life-saving trump card. At any time, the little girl wouldn't treat it unfairly. It disdained to participate in those childish pet fighting games. Sitting on the mountain and watching the tiger fight was where its fun lay. Once Qing Xiaoqing was captured, the situation completely changed. Qing Yuanda said loudly, "The culprit is now under control. Seeing that you are only bewitched by Qing Xiaoqing, as long as you stop now and let bygones be bygones, or else we will kill without mercy." Although Qing Yuanda was a generation younger than Qing Xiaoqing, he was still the head of the big house. With this shout, his power was still there. Immediately, the guards began to hesitate. Yun Chujiu echoed with a clear voice, "The internal strife of the Qing family has nothing to do with you. Why do you have to die in vain?" To tell you the truth, not only are there 5,000 guards of the Lan family outside Fog Valley City, but there are also 5,000 men of the Zen sect. If you resist stubbornly, you will only die. Some of the guards did not like the fact that Qing Xiaoqing had imprisoned their father and harmed their relatives, so they immediately retreated to the side. When the others saw this, they also retreated to the side. Although there were still a few direct descendants of Qing Xiaoqing, they did not dare to act rashly since Qing Xiaoqing was in the hands of the Lan family's patriarch. Qing Yuanda cupped his fists gratefully at the Lan family's patriarch and then led his men into the house. After cutting off the chains and feeding Qing Haoyan some elixirs, he helped Qing Haoyan out of the house. Qing Haoyan did not expect to see the light of day again. He could not help but cry. However, he was the leader of the Qing family after all. After a short sigh, he regained his calm. He bowed to the Lan family's patriarch with great difficulty. "Senior Lan, I will thank you after I clean up the Qing family's mess." The Lan family's patriarch nodded. "No worries." At this moment, Qing Yuankue arrived with his men. When he saw that Qing Xiaoqing had been captured, his face turned pale with fright. Qing Haoyan shouted angrily, "Evil creature! Hurry up and surrender!" Qing Xiaoqing was the backbone of the second branch. Now that he had been captured, Qing Yuankue had no idea what to do. He didn't know what to do at the moment. He weighed his options and knelt on the ground. "Grandfather, I was forced by my father. I don't want to do this either. This was all father's idea. Please spare me." Qing Xiaoqing almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Was this retribution? He had imprisoned his father, but now he was abandoned by his own son. This was really retribution. Qing Haoyan did not say much. Instead, he had people control Qing Yuankue. Once Qing Xiaoqing and Qing Yuankue were captured, things became much easier. Before dawn, Qing Haoyan had already regained control of the Qing family. Whether it was Qing Haoyan or Qing Yuanda, they all felt that this was like a dream. How could it be so easy? In the end, first of all, Qing Xiaoqing had underestimated the enemy. He did not expect that the ancestor of the Lan family would actually help the chief branch. The most important thing now was to interrogate Qing Shaoqing and his son. At the very least, they had to make him hand over the antidote of the eldest branch's people. I think you should take a look at Qing Shaoqing sneered. I admit defeat. However, don't even think about the antidote. I can't get better, and neither can you. Qing Haoyan was so angry that he wanted to slap him to death. In the end, it was Qing Yuankue who confessed that the bitter Zen sect gave them the poison. They only had pills to temporarily control the pain and did not have the antidote. Qing Haoyan looked at Defeng, who was so stupid and disabled that even Qing Yuanda would cough from time to time. He could not help but burst into tears. This was the fate of the Qing family. For a moment, the Qing family was once again in a miserable state. Yun Chujio felt that it was time for her to make a move. Therefore, this guy, tactfully, said to Qing Haoyan, Senior Qing, I can try to detoxify them, but the antidote is very expensive, and it takes a lot of time and effort to refine. If it's not done well, I might even have to bear the risk of exploding the furnace. Qing Haoyan immediately understood what she meant. Was this little girl negotiating conditions? He immediately agreed. As long as Yun Chujio could detoxify the people of the main branch, any conditions would be met. Yun Chujio fulfilled her wish and immediately went to the main branch. This guy had the Guai Chao in his hand. Although there were some communication difficulties, he still spent a few days to prepare the antidote. Gowei Batsao had made another contribution. He did not know how to show off. Buttface and Buddha's candle were so angry that they were even more jealous of this guy. Qing Haoyan fulfilled his promise. Not only did he sell a batch of spiritual artifacts to the Lan family at an extremely favorable price, but he also gave Yun Chujio 3 top-tier flying spiritual artifacts and several defensive spiritual artifacts. After the Qing family's matter was settled, the Lan family's ancestor did not plan to stay any longer. After all, he had been out for some time, so he bid his farewell. Qing Haoyan tried his best to persuade her to stay, but seeing that the ancestor of the Lan family had made up his mind, he had no choice but to agree. Before she left, Qing Isai came to see Yun Chujio. Little Jio, thank you for what happened this time. Qing Isai said and was about to kneel down. Miss Qing Si, what are you doing? We are sisters, there's no need to talk about this. By the way, how did Master Qing punish the second branch? Yun Chujio quickly supported her and changed the topic. Qing Shaoqing and Qing Yuankue were crippled by their great-grandfather and imprisoned. The rest were expelled from the ancestral house after being tortured and demoted to a branch. Yun Chujio shook her head in her heart. This Qing Haoyan was too merciful. The old fox's way of doing things was more suitable for controlling a large family. Just as she was thinking about it, she realized that Qing Si wanted to say something, but she hesitated. Miss Qing Si, what do you want to say? Yun Chujio asked in confusion. Qing Si gritted her teeth and said, I think that if we don't get rid of the weeds, there will be trouble in the future, so I plan to kill Qing Shaoqing and Qing Yuankue behind my great-grandfather's back. As for the other people in the second branch, they are nothing to be afraid of, but we have to send people to monitor them at all times. Yun Chujio's eyes lit up. Oh my, Miss Qing Si has turned dark. However, this was also good. Otherwise, she would be at a disadvantage. Panda's novel, Kami and Chujio shook her head repeatedly. No, you did the right thing. This is how it should be. Being merciful to the enemy is cruel to yourself. Qing Isai smiled in relief. Both her great-grandfather and father were too kind, so she should be the villain. I think you should take a look at the two chatted for a while, and Yun Chujio suddenly remembered something and said, Miss Qing Si, since Xianji knows about your physique, he probably won't let it go. You must be careful. Qing Si nodded. Father also thought of this. From now on, the Qing family of the Valley of Fog will strengthen our guards, and we won't easily see outsiders. Hearing this, Yun Chujio felt relieved and left. The ancestor of the Lan family was in a good mood. Although the Qing family of the Valley of Fog would not openly fall out with the other 3 families in the future, they would definitely control the spiritual artifacts sold to them. In this way, the Lan family would have an advantage. The three of them brought their subordinates out of the Valley of Fog and met with a master lay of the Zen sect. The ancestor of the Lan family recounted what had happened and handed over the gift of thanks that Qing Haoyan had entrusted to him to the Zen sect to Master Lei. Master Lei put his palms together and said, Amitba. I didn't expect that Xian Ji, as a monk, would have such lewd and evil thoughts. It's really disgraceful. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and said, Master Lei, the bitter Zen sect will be a disaster sooner or later. Why don't we take the initiative to destroy them? Otherwise, they might cause some trouble again. We need to plan this matter carefully. I will report it to the sect master when I go back, said Master Lei. By the way, Qing Sis physique is easy to cause trouble, so please don't let too many people know about this, Yun Chujio pleaded. After Master Lei nodded and agreed, the two sides separated. The Guai Chao in Yun Chujia's Dantian suddenly remembered something. It was the thing that Qing Shaoqing used to threaten Qing Haoyan at the back of the mountain, but she forgot to tell the stupid girl about it. Therefore, Goei Batzao found an opportunity to draw a picture. Hei Xinjiu took a long time to figure out what it meant. She did not take it to heart. Since it was a secret of the Qing family, she should not get involved. The journey was smooth. However, the closer they got to the imperial city, the darker the sky became and the faint sound of thunder could be heard. Hei Xinjiu immediately jumped up from her chair and looked into the distance through the observation window. She saw lightning and thunder in the distance. Judging from the direction, it was Mount Meru. This fellow was immediately enraged. Alright, damn Wu Yun. She actually wanted to take advantage of her absence to secretly strike lightning. She was really courting death. She immediately said to the Lan family's patriarch, Patriarch, I won't be returning to the imperial city with you for now. I'll make a trip to Mount Meru. The Lan family's patriarch knew that this fellow wanted to absorb lightning, so he did not stop her. He only gave her a few words of advice. It was nothing more than to pay attention to Yun Yun's safety. Yun Chujio quickly agreed. Then, she got off the flying spirit tool and sat on the chopping board as she headed straight for Mount Meru. This fellow was burning with anxiety. If she was too late, she would not be able to withstand the strike. The dark clouds floating above Mount Meru saw Yun Chujio from afar and trembled in fear. Oh no, the wretched girl who wanted to fish for the Yun wings was here. It could not be bothered to continue attacking Mount Meru and ran away. Yun Chujio was furious. She pulled her neck and shouted, Hey, wait a minute. Chop me a few times before you run away. Wu Yun did not dare to stop. What kind of joke was this? Nothing that this brat said was true. It would only stop if it was stupid. Seeing that Wu Yun was about to run away, Yun Chujio was so anxious that her forehead was covered in sweat. In a moment of desperation, she shouted, Wait. As long as you chop me a few times, I will return you a cloud wing. I promise to keep my word. If I lie, I will be struck by lightning and die a horrible death. Hearing that, Wu Yun ran even faster. Struck by lightning? You fucking want to be struck by lightning. I think you should take a look at so what you said must be a lie. Yun Chujio also realized that her oath seemed to be somewhat inappropriate, mainly because she was used to saying it. She hurriedly shouted, If I lie to you, let me drown in the water and burn to death. Wu Yun paused. Could it be that what the brat said this time was true? When Yun Chujio saw that it had stopped, her heart immediately rejoiced. She said, I didn't lie to you. Think about it. There's no use for me to have Yun wings. Why don't I exchange them for a few bolts of lightning? Moreover, you can strike from a distance away from me. That way, you won't be afraid that I'll cheat you, right? Wu Yun was a little tempted. Previously, Yun Chujio had hooked a cloud wing away from it. If she could get it back, it would naturally be good. Besides, she was right. As long as he was far away, there would be no danger. Therefore Wu Yun flew back. Yun Chujio quickly landed on the ground. She smiled like a playboy who was trying to trick a little girl. Come on, little boy. Chop me. Chop me to your heart's content. Wu Yun shivered in disgust at the word little boy. He hacked at Hei Xinjiu with all the remaining power of lightning. Hei Xinjiu did not expect Wu Yun to do that. When she saw the thick lightning, she wanted to dodge it. However, the lightning did not come easily. If she managed to dodge it, she did not know when she would be struck again. Therefore, she made up her mind and was struck by the lightning without dodging. After a loud explosion, a deep pit with black smoke appeared on the ground. Wu Yun in the sky was waiting happily for Yun Chujio to return the cloud wings to it. However, after waiting for a while, Yun Chujio still did not climb out of the pit. It could not help but feel happy. Could it be that it had accidentally killed that stupid girl? Wu Yun waited for a while more. When he saw that there was still no movement in the pit, he could not care about Yuni anymore. He hopped away happily. Panda's novel, Come had struck Wu Yun's nemesis, the killer of heavenly thunder, that scourged to death. In the deep pit, Yun Chujio was lying quietly. Her body was covered in scorched soil. Her hair and eyebrows had turned into ashes. Her clothes had also turned into ashes. Fortunately, there was still soil covering her body. Otherwise, she would have been completely exposed. If someone else saw it, they would definitely think that there was a dead person lying in the pit because she was not breathing at all. Of course, nobody would have seen Hei Xinjiu floating on top of her. Hei Xinjiu was dumbfounded. Why was she struck so hard that her soul left her body? Did she die just like that? She comforted herself that she might have gone into shock because she was struck too hard just now. She would probably recover soon. However, from dusk until nightfall, and from nightfall until the sun rose slowly, her body still showed no signs of waking up. Panda's novel. Come Hei Xinjiu wanted to cry, but no tears came out. If she had known this would happen, she would have rather wasted that heavenly thunder. At least, it would not have turned out like this. It was really not worth it. However, it was useless to regret. Things had already happened. Just as this fellow was feeling vexed, she heard the sound of chaotic footsteps from afar. Her heart tightened. The Lan family must have found her. She was not wearing any clothes now. If she was seen, it would be terrible. In a moment of desperation, she tried to communicate with Guai Chao. Needless to say, she had established a connection with Guai Chao. Yun Chujio was puzzled. Why could she establish a connection with Guai Chao even though she could not communicate with other dumb cuties? This question flashed across her mind. Now was not the time to think about it. She quickly let Guai Chao take over her body and let it bury her in the soil. Go Weiba, ask someone to throw you a set of clothes and put them on later. I think you should take a look at him warning you, put on your clothes with your eyes closed, or I'll kill you. Yun Chujio warned. Goi Batsao obediently agreed, but in its heart, it cursed, You've become a drifter, and you still dare to threaten me. If I'm unhappy, I'll make you run for your life. Of course, this fellow was only thinking about it, he didn't dare. The people who came were not only the guards of the Lan family, but also Yun Chujio's own guards. The reason was very simple. Leng Yun had been paying attention to the movements of the Lan family. When he heard that Yun Chujio hadn't returned all night, he quickly rushed over with his men. Go Weiba followed Yun Chujio's instructions and shouted at the top of his lungs, Leng Yun, throw me a set of clean clothes, all of you stay away. Leng Yun, did his master forget that there was a storage ring? Or was there no clothes in his master's storage ring? Goe Batsao closed his eyes and put the clothes that Leng Yun threw on his body. Then he shouted, Leng Yun, come down and bring me up. Leng Yun didn't think much about it. He thought that his master must have been seriously injured, so he couldn't come up. Therefore, he went into the deep pit and carried Yun Chujio up. The light in the pit was dim, so Leng Yun did not pay much attention to it. When he reached the top, he realized that his master was wearing his clothes on the wrong side. Also, where were his master's hair and eyebrows? Yun Chujio was so angry when she saw her. Stupid, look. This damn dogtail, could it be that Go Weiba did not even know how to wear clothes? Go Weiba cursed in his heart, the baby did not wear clothes, can wear good enough. Although Leng Yun had many questions in his heart, he did not dare to ask too much. He said, Miss, are we returning to the city now? Are you stupid? If not, Where are we going? Goei Batsao curled his lips and said. Leng Yun choked on his words and hurriedly said, Yes, this subordinate is slow. Miss, please. Goei Batsao snorted and then moved forward and jumped. Everyone looked at Yun Chujio, who was desperately swinging her arms and jumping forward. They were all dumbfounded. Was her brain damaged by the lightning? Yun Chujio was so angry that she was about to puke. Go Weiba! You idiot! You are a human now, not a grass. You better walk properly. Go Weiba did not expect Yun Chujio to suddenly make a sound. It was frightened by her and fell to the ground with a thud. Yun Chujio felt that she had most likely never been so embarrassed in her life. This Go Weiba was really a piece of shit. Goei Batsao sensed her thoughts and cursed in its heart. You are the shit. Your whole family is a piece of shit. Go Weiba was a world-shaking hero, not some piece of shit. In order to take revenge on Hei Shinjio, this guy deliberately tripped his left leg and right leg when he got up and fell again. Yun Chujio was so angry that she wished she could strangle Goei Batsao to death. She said coldly, Goei Batsao, if you continue to act like a demon, you will never see Xiao Mogu again. Goei Batsao immediately cowered, and a fawning expression appeared on her face. Yun Chujio saw the fawning expression on her face and felt extremely stifled. Alright, pretend to faint now. Don't embarrass yourself here. Yun Chujio said to Goei Batsao. Goei Batsao had no choice but to unwillingly fall to the ground and pretend to faint. Leng Yun was shocked and hurriedly used the soft couch to carry Yun Chujio as they ran towards the imperial city. I think you should take a look at Goei Batsao lay on the soft couch and secretly opened its eyes to look at the scenery from time to time. This fellow felt that possessing the smelly girl's body was not bad. At the very least, it could eat a lot of medicinal herbs and jump around. It was just that it could not use the smelly girl's spiritual power. Otherwise, it could release Xiao Mogu to cultivate its feelings. Yun Chujio looked at the shifty-eyed herself and felt the malicious intent of the heavens. What did she do wrong to suffer such inhuman torture? However, no matter what, she had to be thankful for the Guai Chao. Otherwise, she would have to run away. Moreover, if she remained unconscious, the old fox of the Lan family's ancestor might give up on her and use her to exchange for benefits with the divine Devil Hall. It was not that she thought too badly of people, but that sometimes human nature could not stand the test. Although Goei Batsao was a little out of place, as long as she stayed in her room, there should not be any problems for a short period of time. Perhaps she could return to her body in a few days. At this moment, Leng Yun, who was carrying the limp body, felt a little complicated. He was not blind, so he naturally saw Yun Chujio opening her eyes from time to time to look around. He thought to himself, it seemed that her master's brain had really been struck by lightning. Otherwise, why would he act so strangely? He looked like a fool. Pandas novel. Come after everyone entered the imperial city, Go Weiba could not stay idle anymore. It had always wanted to stroll around the market, and finally, it had an opportunity. It could not miss this good opportunity. Perhaps that stinky girl would quickly return to normal, and when that time came, it would not have a chance. Thus, Leng Yun watched helplessly as his master rolled from the soft couch to the ground. Then he got up, swung his arms, and jumped into the medicinal herb shop next to him. As it was early in the morning, there were only a few customers in the herb shop. Pandas novel, isn't this Miss Yun? How did she become bald? It was one thing for her to become bald, but why was her face covered in mud? And why was she wearing her clothes inside out? What surprised them the most was that Miss Yun's walking posture was so strange. Why did she swing her arms so hard? Hei Shinjio, who was floating behind Goei Batsao, was so angry that she was about to explode. This damn Goei Batsao. However, no matter how she cursed, Goei Batsao seemed to not hear her. It jumped in front of the shopkeeper and said, I want all herbs above the earth grade. Although the shopkeeper felt that Yun Chujio was a little strange, he didn't have any reason to push the sale out of the door. He immediately smiled apologetically and said, I'll put it away for you right away. After a while, The shopkeeper took out a storage ring and handed it to Goei Batsao. Miss Yun, the herbs you want are all inside. They'll wipe the change for you. It's a total of 50 million upper-grade spirit stones. Goei Batsao suddenly remembered that it had to pay for the items, but it couldn't open Yun Chujia's storage ring. What should it do? This guy looked at Leng Yun. What are you waiting for? Leng Yun. He was only a small team leader, how could he have so much money? However, seeing that Goei Batsao didn't look like he was joking, he had no choice but to force his men to gather the money. It wasn't easy for him to gather 50 million upper-grade spirit stones. Everyone felt aggrieved. Well, they did not receive a month's salary, but they had put all their wealth into it. I think you should take a look at Leng Yun even suspected that his master was deliberately pretending to be crazy to plunder their wealth. Goei Batsao held the storage ring and said happily, "Let's go back to the mansion." Leng Yun saw that it was holding the storage ring with its hand but did not put it into his own storage ring. He could not help but feel even more puzzled. He forced himself to ask, "Miss, why don't you put these herbs into your storage ring?" Yun Chujio, who was floating behind them, deliberately did not say anything. She wanted to see how Go Weiba would answer. Sigh. I was struck by lightning, so I can't use my spiritual power for the time being. It will be fine in a few days. Goei Batsao sighed. Yun Chujio, damn it, this scheming grass was getting more and more sophisticated. Leng Yun heard this and suddenly realized. No wonder his master was so strange. So that was it. Goei Batsao originally wanted to walk around on the street, but it was in a hurry to go back and eat those herbs, so it lay back on the soft bed and was carried back to the Lan family's third house. Hong Ling and the other two were shocked when they saw Goei Batsao. How did my miss become like this? After Leng Yun and the others left, Goei Batsao pointed at Hong Ling, "Come in with me." Hong Ling felt that the way her lady spoke was different from usual. However, she did not think too much about it and followed Goei Batsao into the house. Take out the medicinal herbs in this ring, Goei Batsao said anxiously. Hong Ling was stunned. Why did she have to take them out? Why didn't Lady take them out herself? However, she did not dare to say anything. However, when she saw the number of medicinal herbs in the storage ring, she asked uncertainly, "Lady, take out all the medicinal herbs in this ring?" Goei Batsao nodded. Take them out. What a joke. If he didn't take them out, how could he eat them? Chapter 5296 The baby doesn't want to talk to you. Hong Ling braced herself and took out all the medicinal herbs in her storage ring. She stuffed Yun Chujia's house full, leaving only the bed and a narrow corridor without any medicinal herbs. Goei Batsao was so happy that it was about to bloom. That smelly girl never let it eat its fill. Now it could finally eat enough. As expected, it was better to beg others than to beg oneself. It was better to do it yourself in order to have enough food and clothing. Hong Ling saw the fervent gaze of Goei Batsao and was even more puzzled. Why did it become so strange for her miss to go out? She saw the mud on Yun Chujia's face and the man's clothes that were full of dust and said, "Miss, I will prepare a bath for you. Would you like to take a bath?" Go Weiba waved his hands repeatedly. No, this is good. Hong Ling, are you sure this is good? Her face was dirty, her clothes were dirty, and she was wearing them inside out. How was it good? Although Hong Ling did not agree, she did not dare to say too much. She turned around and closed the door. Goei Batsao saw that Hong Ling had gone out, grabbed a handful of herbs and stuffed them into her mouth. She felt like she was living like a god. Yun Chujio looked at Goei Batsao, who was gobbling down the herbs and was so angry that she was twitching. She scolded, "Goei Batsao, you imbecile. Just you wait." Goei Batsao originally did not want to bother with Yun Chujio, but thinking about it, it was not easy for it to use her body to speak, so why not vent its anger? So, after swallowing a handful of herbs, it said, "Ichi, do you know how much help I have secretly helped you? Let's not talk about the distant ones, let's talk about the near ones. In the 10,000-year-old swamp, if it was not for me, would those blue demonic insects have obediently let you go? Also, during the 10,000 Buddha Dharma assembly, if it weren't for my help, why would Yuan Ji shoot himself to death for no reason? You only know how to scold me all day long. What did I do wrong? Yun Chujio looked at its confident manner and was amused. Go Weiba, that's good. You're very wronged, aren't you? Go Weiba snorted. Of course, I'm so wronged. Yun Chujio sneered. Since you're arguing with me, then I'll talk to you properly. Let's put other things aside. What do you say if you come and occupy my dantian uninvited? Goei Batsao blinked guiltily. I still want to eat grass. I don't want to talk to you. Yun Chujio saw that it looked like a dead pig that was not afraid of boiling water, so she was too lazy to talk nonsense with it. She wondered what was going on. She had encountered similar situations twice before. One time, it was because Go Weiba had forcefully taken over her body, and the other time, it was under the ghost city in the desert of death. However, this time was obviously different from the previous 2 times. This time, it was definitely not Go Weiba doing, and it was not caused by the environment. Moreover, in the past, she had been struck by lightning until she was half dead. At most, her tendons and veins were torn apart. There had never been such a situation where her soul had left her body. Yun Chujio suddenly had a thought. No, there was another similar situation. When she entered the ghost realm, her body was left in a secret room while her primordial spirit followed the murderous aura into the ghost realm. Could it be that the incident this time was related to the murderous aura? Speaking of which, the murderous aura had not moved for a long time. Could it be that it was going to play some tricks again? Yun Chujio told Goei Batsao her guess, not because she trusted it, but because she could only tell it now. Goei Batsao was busy eating the herbs and said absent-mindedly, Anyway, those drifters won't harm you. What are you afraid of? How do you know they won't harm me? Yun Chujio raised her eyebrows and asked. Goei Batsao choked and said, If they wanted to harm you, they would have done it long ago. Why would they wait until now? Although Goei Batsao spoke as if it was serious, Yun Chujio felt that it was not telling the truth. Only then did she realize that although this scheming grass had long been in her dantian, up until now, she still did not know what it was. Demonic plant? She had never heard of anyone who could separate a spiritual beast from a demonic plant. Spiritual beast? And no one had ever heard of a spiritual beast being able to grow in its dantian. Moreover, she felt that although this fellow was a bad student, he seemed to know quite a lot of things. What exactly was this thing? Yun Chujio thought of this and asked, Go Weiba, tell me the truth. What exactly are you? Goei Batsao swallowed the herb in its mouth and said confidently, I'm not a thing. Yun Chujio, you are indeed not a thing. You damn dogtail. Go Weiba. Goei Batsao did not know what it had said wrong and continued to stuff the herbs in its mouth. Yun Chujio cursed a few times before saying, What I mean is, you are a spirit plant, right? Then what kind of spirit plant are you? Why haven't I read about you in the ancient books? When Goei Batsao heard this, it immediately straightened its back and said, This baby is the world's most powerful grass, Goei Batsao. This damn scheming grass. It was as if she didn't say anything. I think you should take a look at. She rolled her eyes. She didn't believe that she couldn't beat a grass. Hence, she curled her lips and said, I know. It must be because your species is very low, so you're too embarrassed to say it. Goei Batsao was immediately unhappy. Who is calling low? You are the low one. You and D. Biming are a pair of bitches. Of course, this fellow still had a trace of rationality and did not say it out loud. It curled its lips and said, You don't have to trick the baby. In short, you should treat me better in the future and not suffer any losses. Otherwise, Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and sighed. Sigh, Go Weiba, you're being a little heartless when you say that. Am I not treating you well? When I met the poison that you like, which time did I not help you drink it? When I met the medicinal herbs and pills that you like, which time did I not feed it to you? Even when you secretly saved up money, didn't I not punish you? Most importantly, you occupied my dantian. How do you expect me to treat you well? Goei Batsao immediately felt a little guilty. After thinking about it carefully, other than scolding it for no reason, this stinky girl seemed to treat it quite well. Alright. You barely treat me well. But don't worry. In the future, all of this will pay off. You being chosen by me, Goei Batsao, is a great honor for you. Goei Batsao said smugly. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. But, shameless. A great honor? It would be a great trouble. Yun Chujio knew that she couldn't get Goei Bakao's identity. She changed the topic and asked, "Oh right, where did you take De Hua?" Goei Batsao said innocently, "How would I know where that idiot went? It is your spiritual beast, not mine." Yun Chujio frowned. Although Goei Batsao said it confidently, she somehow felt that De Hua's disappearance was related to it. Goei Batsao secretly heaved a sigh of relief when it saw that Yun Chujio was silent. It continued to eat the herbs. Speaking of which, it had been a long time since it had eaten so freely. It felt so good. Goei Batsao thought about it. Although it did not need to eat, its body still needed to eat. Otherwise, if it starved to death, it would have no place to live. Thus, it lazily said, "Come in." Hong Ling entered the house and couldn't help but be stunned, because the originally full medicinal herbs were already less than half gone. What was going on? However, Hong Ling knew her identity, so she didn't ask what she shouldn't ask. Therefore, she didn't say anything and instead placed the food on the table. Yun Chujio said to Goei Batsao, "Tell Hong Ling to prepare a bath water and clean clothes. Ask her to help you bathe. When the time comes, go back to your dantian and wait for the bath before you possess your body." Goei Batsao agreed and pursed her lips in her heart. But, even if you let the baby see it, the baby would not even bother to look at it. It was so ugly. It could not even be compared to Xiao Mogus mycelium. Hong Ling was stunned when she heard Goei Bakao's instructions. This was because Yun Chujio usually did not need them to help her take a bath. However, since her master had instructed her, she could only do as she was told. Thus, after Goei Batsao finished eating, Hong Ling began to help her take a bath. In order to avoid Hong Ling's suspicion, Yun Chujio let Goei Batsao say, "I'll take a nap for a while. Help me wash up, then help me change my clothes. After that, just put me on the bed." After Hong Ling nodded and agreed, Goei Batsao retracted back into her dantian and allowed Hong Ling to manipulate Yun Chujio's body. I think you should take a look at. Although Hong Ling was very puzzled, she still helped Yun Chujio to bathe, changed into clean clothes, and then put her on the bed. During this time, she felt that her miss did not breathe at all and was so scared that her face was pale. However, she knew that her miss was a pervert and had many secrets. Therefore, although she was shocked, she did not dare to ask anything. Yun Chujio watched Hong Ling leave and nodded. This Hong Ling was not bad. If there was a chance, she could help her increase her strength. After a while, Goei Batsao felt that it should be done washing. It could not wait to possess her body again and began to eat the herbs. Yun Chujio could not be bothered with it. Just as she was thinking about the matter, Hong Ling knocked on the door again and said carefully, "Miss, housekeeper Su from the ancestral residence is here. He said that the ancestor invited you over." Hong Ling knew that her miss was angry when she woke up, so she was so careful. Yun Chujio's heart tightened. What should come will come. She had to think of a way to fool the old fox. "Tell housekeeper Su that I'll be there soon." After Hong Ling left, Yun Chujio said to Goei Batsao, "The old fox is very cunning. You have to do exactly as I told you. Otherwise, I won't be able to recover, and neither will you." Although Goei Batsao was mischievous, it also knew the severity of the situation. It immediately nodded and said, "Don't worry. Although I can't compare to you in acting, I can still put on an act." Yun Chujio immediately instructed Go Weiba. Then she said, "Everything else is fine. The main thing is the way you walk. Remember, you're a human now, not a grass. Don't throw your arms out for no reason. Those aren't your grass leaves." Goei Batsao agreed and pursed his lips in his heart. Humans were so pitiful. They only had 2 arms and 2 legs. The grass was still more powerful. They could have as many leaves as they wanted. Goei Batsao waited for Yun Chujio to finish her instructions before pushing the door open and leaving the house. "Hong Ling, Prepare the soft couch and send me to the ancestral residence, Goei Batsao instructed. Hong Ling immediately sent someone to prepare the soft couch. The soft couch was carried outside the Lan family's ancestral residence. Goei Batsao then rolled down the soft couch. Goei Batsao realized that it had made a mistake. It revealed an embarrassed but polite smile and said, "Sai, my body is too weak. I accidentally fell down. Hong Ling, why didn't you help me just now?" Hong Ling, hey Shinjio. After saying that, Goei Batsao imitated Yun Chujia's usual way of walking and walked into the courtyard. Although it felt very awkward, it had to bear with it in order not to expose itself. Hong Ling looked at her young Miss Backview and had an illusion in her heart. Her young Miss legs were newly grown, right? Otherwise, why did she feel that her walking posture was so stiff? It did not seem as natural as before when she swung her arm and walked away. Yun Chujio simply could not bear to look at it. She could only follow and drift into the Lan family's ancestors' study. Pandas novel. Yun Chujio looked at her flattering manner and could not help but shiver. Was she usually this cheap? The Lan family ancestor shook his head speechlessly and pointed to the chair beside him. Sit. I think you should take a look at Goei Batsao subconsciously shook his right arm. After hearing Yun Chujia's cough, he touched his bald ladle stiffly and laughed dryly before sitting on the chair. The Lan family's ancestor did not suspect anything. He thought that she was a little embarrassed because her hair had been chopped off. Goei Batsao recalled Yun Chujia's previous instructions and quickly said, "Ancestor AI, I was struck a little severely this time. My spiritual power has been temporarily sealed, and my body is very weak. I think I need to rest for a few days." The Lan family's ancestor's spy had already reported Yun Chujia's actions to him. After hearing Yun Chujia's words, he did not suspect anything. Because he thought that the reason Goei Batsao bought so many medicinal herbs was probably to refine medicinal pills to treat his injuries. He asked a few questions with concern and then said, "Although the Qing family's matter has come to an end temporarily, I have a premonition that a storm is coming. I'm afraid that the other three families, the Bitter Zen sect, and the Divine Devil Hall will attack again soon." Go Weiba followed Yun Chujia's instructions and said, "Ancestor, you don't have to worry too much. We still have the Zen sect behind us. Even if we really meet them, we are not afraid of them." The ancestor nodded and the two chatted for a while. Then the ancestor said, "Since you are not well, you should go back early. Nothing is more important than getting well." Goei Batsao did not want to put on an act anymore. When she heard that, she jumped up from the chair, swung her arms, and jumped out of the house. Yun Chujio was so angry that her nose almost went crooked. However, there was nothing she could do. Fortunately, most people would not think that there was a new core in her shell, so the old fox should not suspect anything. Yun Chujio originally wanted to stay here and see what the old ancestor would do, but she was sucked to Goei Bakao's side by a huge suction force. It seemed that she couldn't be too far away from her body. Sigh, what was going on? It was too terrible. After Yun Chujio left, an old man wearing a mask came out from behind the screen of the study. "Master, why do I feel that the girl's behavior is a bit strange?" The masked old man said with some doubt. The Lan family's patriarch shook his head. "It's probably the sequela of being struck by lightning. After her injuries recover, she should be back to normal." The reason why the Lan family's ancestor did not have any doubts was that, firstly, he would never have thought that Yun Chujia's core had changed. Secondly, the tone and content of Yun Chujia's conversation with him were very normal. It was just that the way she walked and her behavior was a little strange. The masked elder nodded. "What you said makes sense. The heavenly lightning was as thick as a millstone. It's already a miracle that she was able to survive. It's also normal for her to be injured." The Lan family's ancestor smiled. That troublemaker has always been different from ordinary people. If it wasn't for her intelligence, the Qing family's matter this time wouldn't have gone so smoothly. I still feel that it's unbelievable. I thought that we would have to go through a lot of trouble, but who would have thought that it would be resolved so easily? The elder smiled. "Congratulations, Master. With the support of the Qing family of the Fog Valley, our Lan family's strength will increase by a lot. However, Master, if Yun Chujia's injuries cannot be recovered, what should we do about that matter? The Lan family's ancestor knocked on the table with his finger. After a moment of silence, he said, "It's still early. That troublemaker knows how to refine pills herself. There shouldn't be any big problems. If it really doesn't work, we can think of another way. I now feel that she is more suitable than Luo Qin. Although Luo Qin is also very intelligent and her cultivation level is higher than that troublemaker, she lacks flexibility and may not be able to succeed. What you said makes sense. However, will you tell her the truth? After all, that little girl's mind is very clear. You may not be able to deceive her." The masked elder probed. The Lan family's ancestor let out a long breath. "He'll think about it again. In any case, we still have time. I think you should take a look at on the other side." Goei Batzao sat on the soft couch and returned to the third room of the Lan family. Just as he entered the courtyard, he saw Lan Luofang ask with concern, "Little Jiao, are you all right? I just finished my class. Otherwise, I would have come to see you long ago." Goei Batzao followed Yun Chujia's instructions and said while covering his forehead, "Sister Lum, my head hurts a little. I want to go in and lie down for a while. I'll look for you another day." Lan Luofang did not suspect him and quickly said, "Then quickly go in and lie down for a while. I'll get the kitchen to make some nourishing soup for you." Goei Batzao nodded and imitated Yun Chujia's walking posture into the house. Lan Luofang looked at Yun Chujia's difficult steps and was even more convinced that she was injured. She could not help but worry for her and left with a worried expression. For the next 2 days, Goei Batzao lived a very happy life. After eating all the herbs, this guy shamelessly went straight to Lan Luofang and asked her to help him buy more herbs. He said that he wanted to refine pills. Lan Luofang did not doubt him and immediately went to the pharmacy to buy a lot of herbs. Hei Xinjiu was so angry that she was about to puke. But she could not do anything about Goei Batzao. Goei Batzao was very proud of itself. It wished that it could live like this forever. It was simply too beautiful. That night, it was already midnight, and Goei Batzao hadn't slept yet. This fellow was nibbling on the herbs while reading. The script was simply wonderful. Panda's novel, Comb. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. "Little Jiao, open the door." Goei Batzao heard the cold voice and rolled down from the bed in fright. It was over. That jinx was here. Goei Batzao was trembling like a fallen leaf in the wind. Why did this fiend suddenly come here? What should he do? If that fiend knew that it had been whipping the stinky girl in anger for the past few days, would he directly turn her into a specimen? Otherwise, he might as well go back to his dantian. After all, he had no way to communicate with the stinky girl's primordial spirit and would not know about his own matters. However, it thought about it again. If that was the case, Di Baiming would definitely be worried about Yun Chujia's body and would stay behind. If that was the case, how would it come out to eat the herbs? How would it come out to read the script? Goei Batzao rolled its eyes. Its body was now the wretched girl's, and it was also familiar with the matters between them. It might as well fool him and make him leave quickly so that it could continue to act arrogantly. However, what if it was discovered by that jinx? This fellow gritted its teeth and comforted itself. As long as it was a little more careful, that jinx would definitely not discover it. After all, it would not have thought that its body would be taken over by Go Weiba tail. Thinking of this, Goei Batzao swaggered to the door and opened it. Hei Xinjiu, who was floating, saw through Goei Bacao's intentions at a glance. She sneered in her heart. This idiot was looking down on the pretty boy too much. Since it was seeking its own death, she would definitely not stop it. After the door opened, Goei Batzao saw Di Baiming standing at the door. Under the moonlight, Di Baiming's entire body was covered in a silver halo. His eyes were filled with worry. In the past few days, the sound transmission talisman that he sent to Yun Chujiu had not been successful. In addition, he felt inexplicably uneasy, so he hurried over. Goei Batzao did not dare to look into Di Baiming's eyes. Mimicking Yun Chujiu's usual manner, he said, "Prince Charming, why are you here?" I think you should take a look at Di Biming looked at the house full of herbs and felt a little puzzled. Why did little Gio take out all these herbs? Why didn't she put them into her storage ring? He suppressed the doubts in his heart and asked, I have been unable to successfully send you the sound transmission talisman these days. What happened? Goei Batsao had already run back to the bed and hid under the blanket, only revealing his head. This was because he knew that when he was agitated, he would wave his arms and hide under the blanket so that he would not be exposed. Di Biming frowned slightly, but he did not think too much about it. He thought that Yun Chujio could not wait to hide under the blanket because it was late at night and it was a little cold. Panda's novel, Calm, I was struck a few days ago and my spiritual power was blocked, so I was unable to receive your voice transmission talisman. Goei Batsao said. Di Biming immediately lifted the blanket when he heard that. He wanted to check Yun Chujio's pulse to see how badly injured she was. Goei Batsao thought that it had been exposed and was so scared that it trembled. When Di Biming saw it like this, he was even more confused, but he did not show it. Di Biming placed his hand on Goei Bacao's wrist. Although not everyone who cultivated knew how to refine pills, they still knew how to do basic diagnostic tests. When Di Biming saw that there was nothing wrong with Goei Bacao's meridians, he was slightly relieved. If it was just spiritual power being sealed, it would return to normal in a few days. No wonder little Nine had piled up all the herbs in the house. So that was the reason. Goei Batsao had the principle of saying more and saying less, but seeing that Di Biming did not speak, it did not dare to speak either. Hei Xinjiu, who was floating in the air, could not help but feel a little stifled. This idiot gigolo, would he really let Goei Batsao fool him? At this time, Di Biming quietly sized up Goei Batsao. He was even more confused. Little Nine was usually lively and active, but why was it so quiet today? Goei Batsao saw Di Biming's gaze fall on it from time to time, and it shivered again. It didn't dare to look at Di Biming, afraid that it would be exposed. Di Biming suppressed the doubt in his heart and said, Little Gio, tell me about what happened recently. Goei Batsao said a few words perfunctorily and then said, It's already so late. It's better to rest first. If there's anything, we can talk about it tomorrow. Di Biming's eyes deepened and said, Little Gio, look at me. I have something important to tell you. Goei Batsao hummed and said, My head hurts. Tell me. I'm listening. Di Biming tightened his grip and pulled Goei Batsao out of the blanket. Then he made Goei Batsao look at him. Goei Batsao did not expect Di Biming to be so rude. He subconsciously waved his arm, wanting to send Di Biming flying. However, it was not grass now, and it did not have any spiritual power. It did not hurt at all when it hit Di Biming's body. When Di Biming saw its actions, his eyes suddenly turned cold. You are Goei Ba. Where is little Gio? Goei Batsao did not expect to be exposed in less than 10 minutes. It wanted to cry but had no tears. It wanted to deny it, but when it saw Di Biming's cold eyes, did not dare. This fellow broke free from Di Biming's hand and knelt on the ground with a plop. Male god, no, great god, it was the little fairy who let me possess her. She was struck by lightning and her primordial spirit left her body. She was afraid that the Lan family's ancestor would abandon her after finding out, so she let me possess her. I was just following orders. She is floating here now. If you don't believe me, you can ask her yourself. I think you should take a look at this point. Goei Batsao felt a little more confident. That's right. This fiend had no way to communicate with that stinky girl at all. Whatever it said, it would do. What was there to be afraid of? Hei Xinjiu, who was floating, was gratified that Di Biming had seen through Goei Batsao. On the other hand, she felt a little frustrated when she saw herself kneeling in front of Di Biming. Although Di Biming had some guesses in his heart, he was still shocked. Little Gio's primordial spirit had left her body? He stared at Goei Batsao and asked, Is what you said true? Didn't you hurt little Gio? Goei Batsao saw his cold eyes and shivered. She quickly said, It's true. It's all true. I have turned from the dark to the light and turned over a new leaf. The little fairy and I are one. If anything happens to her, I won't be able to recover. Why would I harm her? What? Pandas Novels Kongwei Batsao had the urge to return to its dantian and play dead. But for some reason, although it knew that Di Biming couldn't do anything to it, it was just afraid. Woo, it was a world-shaking powerhouse. Why would it be afraid of this fiend? What the hell? After a moment, Di Biming finally spoke slowly. Since you said that little Jiao was possessed by you, then ask her what her name will be when she gives birth to a son in the future. Although Goei Batsao was telepathically connected to Yun Chujiao and Di Biming would cut off their spiritual sense most of the time. Only when she scolded it would she open the spiritual sense connection. Therefore, Goei Batsao naturally did not know the answer to this question. It raised its head to look at Yun Chujiao, only to see that Yun Chujiao had no intention of telling it at all. Moreover, the corner of her mouth revealed a sinister smile. Its head buzzed. This stinky girl was obviously going to trick it. Goei Batsao regretted it. If it had known earlier, it would not have acted like a demon. What should it do now? If that wretched girl did not tell it the answer, Di Biming, this fiend, would definitely think that it was lying and would not let it off. As expected, Guai Chao felt colder and colder. The cold air on Di Biming's body almost froze it into ice. Di Biming's cold voice rang out, "Are you lying to me?" Goei Batsao looked at Hei Xinjiao who was floating in the air and asked for help. Hei Xinjiao looked at it with a smile but did not say anything. Goei Batsao was so angry that it was twitching. No wonder the stupid girl did not say a word when she saw it acting like a demon. It turned out that she was holding back a big move. It was too sinister. Goei Batsao had no choice but to tell the truth while trembling. God, I was wrong. I made the little fairy angry, so she deliberately pranked me and did not tell me the answer. I swear, I won't dare to do it again in the future. Oh, how did you provoke little Jiao? Di Biming asked in a deep voice he had already guessed a little. This house full of medicinal herbs was probably obtained by Goei Batsao on his own initiative. Goei Batsao cried, I didn't do anything. I just bought some medicinal herbs to eat. People's food is their priority. I can't possibly be hungry, right? Di Biming sneered. He probably bought a lot of these herbs. Otherwise, little Jiao wouldn't be so angry. Moreover, Goei Batsao was getting bolder and bolder. Previously, it had kept a small treasury. Now that it had a chance to possess it, it would definitely be very proud. I think you should take a look at Goei Batsao saw that a certain one was silent, so it could only look at Hei Xinjiao with a whimper. Little fairy, I was wrong. Please spare me this time. I will definitely change in the future and never let anyone buy herbs for me again. Yun Chujiao could not be bothered with it. The most important thing was to look at her crying face. It was too awkward. All right, we will settle the score in the future. Ask him if there is a way for my primordial spirit to enter my body again. Goei Batsao quickly repeated Yun Chujia's words. Di Biming pondered for a moment and said, if it was in the past, I really wouldn't have any way. However, after I broke the seal this time and recovered some of my memories, I do have a way. Yun Chujiao was immediately delighted. What solution? Of course, these words had to be relayed through Go Weiba. In order to gain a good impression of him, Go Weiba said obsequiously, the great deity is indeed powerful. He is simply incomparably wise. What is the solution? Yun Chujiao, this scheming grass. Yun Chujiao noticed that Di Biming frowned slightly. She knew that things were going to be difficult, so she asked, Idol, is there something wrong? Go Weiba said flatteringly, Guru, little fairy asked if there is anything wrong with you? That place called the Sea of Clouds was originally an ownerless place. But now, it is occupied by the Bitter Zen sect. So, you have to find a way to get the Bitter Zen sect to agree to let you soak in the soul-fixing spring, or destroy the Bitter Zen sect, Di Biming said in a deep voice. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.